Much like with the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves are interested in bringing in a veteran player to start winning right away, then drafting a 19-year-old prospect who will more than likely need time to develop. You add to the fact that most draft experts don't see a consensus number 1 pick in this year's class, and you have a team in the Timberwolves that are looking to either trade down or trade completely out of the first round for a win-now player. After trading for point guard D'Angelo Russell before the trade deadline this year, the Timberwolves let it be known that they're trying to win sooner rather than later. The Vice President of Basketball Operations, Garson Rosa, has come in and made moves left and right, trying to put the team in the best position to compete in the lower Western Conference. There's a sense of urgency for the Timberwolves because there's a rumor that the franchise player Karl-Anthony Towns is becoming frustrated with the team right now. Losing a lot and not making the playoffs will do that to you. The 2-star players Towns and Russell only played 1 game together because of injuries, so we didn't get to see how good this duo could be and what adjustments they need to make to put both players in the best position to help the team win. One thing that is certain for both players, they are not known for their defense, not even a little bit, especially Karl-Anthony Towns. The Timberwolves have always been a more effective defensive team every season of Towns' career when he's on the bench than when he's on the floor. At one point this season, the Timberwolves' defensive rating without Towns on the floor compared to the best defenses in the league in the Milwaukee Bucks and the Toronto Raptors. But when Towns was on the court, their defensive rating compared to the Washington Wizards and the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 2 worst defenses in the league. Getting as many good defenders around the 2 stars is crucial to have any kind of success with this team. Towns' best defensive frontcourt teammate in his career was Robert Covington. Those 2 actually worked well together as they had a net rating of plus 2.9. If you can get defensive-minded players around the 2 stars, this team could possibly win games consistently. That's why drafting a player like LaMelo Ball really doesn't make sense for the Timberwolves. Do you really want to have D'Angelo and LaMelo in the backcourt defensively? That has disaster written all over it. James Wiseman also would not be a good fit next to Towns. Even though Wiseman has defensive potential, as of right now, he chases block shots and is out of position more times than not. That fit wouldn't be a winning combination anytime soon. Anthony Edwards is the only reasonable prospect for the Timberwolves to draft and keep. And even he had moments at Georgia where he didn't give the necessary effort needed to play good defense. Adding a proven veteran who can play defense is the best choice for the Timberwolves. And most of the time, even defensive-minded NBA prospects coming into the league can struggle to get adjusted to the speed and the talent of the NBA. There's a steep learning curve. Most prospects need time. Few prospects like Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons can come right in and play solid defense in their rookie years. There was a report that the Timberwolves are interested in drafting Obi Toppin. That will be a horrible move. Offensively, Toppin will be a good fit for a lot of teams in the NBA. Toppin is possibly the most talented pick-and-roll big man of the last few years, with his ability to pick and pop from the three-point line and being a lob threat rolling to the basket. But offense shouldn't be the number 1 priority for the Timberwolves in this spot. Sure, Obi Toppin is a flashy, high-flying prospect that could electrify the crowd in Minnesota, but he's not a good defender, and that's putting it lightly. If he was bad in college, he'll be even worse on the next level. You can always get better as you get more experience, but coming into the league, Toppin will need to play with a defensive-minded 5-man to really have a good impact early in his career. The combination of Toppin and Towns could lead to the worst defense in the NBA, so that report really doesn't make sense. I trust that a smart guy like Garson Rosen wouldn't make that mistake. Sometimes teams put out false information to throw people off into thinking they could do this or that. I've come up with 3 trade scenarios that could help the Timberwolves immediately and be in the mix for a playoff spot in the Western Conference as early as next season. My first trade scenario for the Timberwolves involves the team with the 13th overall pick, the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that has a young core that anybody can be excited about. They have 2 all-star caliber players who are under the age of 24. Why not add another potential star to that core? I have the Timberwolves trading the first pick to the Pelicans for veteran guard Jrue Holiday, the 13th pick, and last year's 17th overall pick, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. James Johnson needs to be included to make this trade work, because it's more than likely he'll opt into his $16 million player option. Jrue Holiday is the defensive-minded, unselfish type of player that the Timberwolves need, the ultimate professional. The most important thing to him at this stage of his career is winning. Stats are secondary. Even though he was recognized for his defense a couple of years ago, Holiday is still one of the most underrated players in the league. And he's not only a good defensive player, he can also get buckets also. You may think he's past putting up all-star level numbers, but Jrue did put up around 19 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1.5 steals per game on 45% shooting from the field. Those are all-star level numbers. Now, I know some of y'all will say that he's on the last year of his contract and he could leave in a year. I do realize that. It's a gamble. That's why getting the 13th pick and a young player like Alexander Walker is crucial. In this draft, after you get past the top 3 picks, it's definitely a crapshoot. You have just as good a chance to pick a better prospect at 13 than the 4th pick in this draft. There really isn't that much of a gap in talent from 4 to 14. So because of that, I believe it's worth taking a gamble with this trade. Would it really be surprising if a player like Terrell Terry or Patrick Williams become a top 5 player in this draft when it's all said and done? Scouting would be so crucial in this draft with limited information on prospects because of the pandemic. There was no March Madness, and the NBA Combine was virtual this year. For the Pelicans, they will have the chance to pair Lonzo Ball up with his brother LaMelo in the backcourt. Or they could replace Jrue Holiday with a natural 2-guard prospect in Anthony Edwards. Or they could form a front court of Ingram, Zion, and big man James Wiseman. My second trade scenario involves the Boston Celtics, who have the 14th overall pick. If there's one player in the NBA who is known for his defense and toughness, it's 2-time All-Defensive selection Marcus Smart. I have the Timberwolves trading the 1st pick along with the 17th pick for defensive menace Marcus Smart, the 14th pick, and Grant Williams. The Timberwolves have been looked at as soft in NBA circles, and most of that is because of their best player. What better player to add to this franchise than Marcus Smart? This guy breathes toughness and tenacity and will expect nothing less than the best effort from his teammates. If he sees someone slacking, he'll let you know about it. And that's the type of leadership that this young team needs. Jimmy Butler tried to be that guy a couple of years ago, and the young players didn't respond well to it. Now the team needs to try again and see what happens. It's put up or shut up for Karl Anthony Towns. If he can't give you better effort on defense and play with toughness, then it might be time to trade him. If Jimmy Butler and Marcus Smart can't light a fire under you, then nobody can in the NBA. And with that addition, you also get the 14th pick where you can still draft a high-quality role player. For the Boston Celtics, they will have the opportunity to draft a talented lead guard or big man. With the Celtics' best players being 23 years old or under in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, drafting a 19-year-old makes more sense for them than a team like the Golden State Warriors who have stars over the age of 30. And my last trade scenario involves the Indiana Pacers. Victor Oladipo's first season with the Indiana Pacers was amazing. He looked like a legit MVP candidate and played great on both ends of the court. He made an All-NBA team and an All-Defensive team that year. But ever since his first year with the Pacers, he's had injuries and his production has dipped every season since. Now, some would say that the injuries are the main reasons for the lack of impact. That's more than likely true, but the fact still remains. He's not the player he was 2 years ago, and you add to the fact that he's in the last year of his contract, and you have a player that has a low trade value. That's why for this trade to make sense for the Timberwolves, you will have to add another player to the mix. I have the Timberwolves trading for not only Oladipo, but also big man Miles Turner. 2 players who have helped make the Indiana Pacers a top 10 defense in the last 3 years. Adding those 2 players to the Timberwolves could help change the culture defensively. You add Josh Okogie to that lineup, and 3 of the 5 starters will be high-level defenders. This trade could put them in the best spot to stomp with the big boys in the Western Conference. There is a big risk with Oladipo being in the last year of his contract, but with the chance to convince him to stay, and the addition of Miles Turner, who is in the 2nd year of his 4-year contract, it might be worth the risk for the Timberwolves. For the Indiana Pacers, they get to reset with Malcolm Brogdon, Domantas Sabonis, and the 1st and 17th picks. The Pacers will be a nice spot for a player like LaMelo Ball, or they could draft a player that most resembles Oladipo in Anthony Edwards. This is much better than having Oladipo leave for nothing. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do it right now for future NBA content.